Today I am going to review this lure. It's the Rebel brand Grasshopper. Very tiny, very finesse. These hooks are smaller than size 10. I'm not sure what size these are, but they're smaller than a 10 size hook, I can tell you that much. It's very finesse. You're not going to be throwing this on a heavy action 20-pound test line. Most you would ever throw this would be on a 10-pound test, and that's even pushing it. I have thrown it on 10-pound tests and did just fine, but this is designed for a nice ultralight rod, spinning reel, 4 to 8-pound test, and it's finesse fishing. What can I say? Yes, you can pull in some nice sized fish with this. I'm sure some nice smallmouth hit it, some largies, trout will hit this, but this is still a finesse lure, and you are going to catch a lot of panfish on this. You're going to hit a variety of bluegills, the creek chubs, the crappies, a lot of tiny fish are going to hit this. So if you're the guy who only goes for the big uns, then this might not be the lure for you. But I can tell you what, this lure, even though it's nice finesse and it brings in the panfish, it's still a fun lure. And I've caught a few largemouth on here. I've caught a few smallmouth on here. It all depends where you're fishing it and, well, where you're fishing it. Not just the lake or creek that you're fishing in, but the spot you're casting in. And this will bring in the numbers, and it's exciting because you can use this lure in 2 different ways. You can either use it as a topwater with little twitches and jerks, or a constant retrieve as a crankbait, and it kind of has a similar motion to the crawfish version of the Rebel. If you do the constant retrieve, and really if you do the topwater, it just kind of floats on the top. Give it a couple jerks, and the fish tear it apart. The bluegill will come up and hammer it. The bass, when they want to hit this, they'll hammer it. See larger bass, they might not even go after this, even though it's an easy meal. If you're talking about 6+ feet deep of water, they might not even want to take the energy to come up to the top to grab it, because it's like I said, it's a finesse lure. But in shallow water, if there are some bigger bass hitting, they'll still hit this. Trust me, they will. I've caught a couple smallies, a couple largemouth out with it, few nice sized brown trout. So this will give you success if you use this lure. So like I said, it's my favorite technique is just the top water. I was actually using this yesterday to get a little scope out for this review for the first time in probably a few months, and different varieties of bluegill, sunfish, panfish, we're hammering this right on the top water, and just come up and pull it right down, set the hook, and since you're on an ultralight rod, it still has a nice little fight to it. Nice little bend in the rod, and on a light enough test, you still have to, you can still feel the fight. So I definitely suggest this lure. It's the craftsmanship in it is nice. It's look at that paint job, very detailed. Got some black / dark blue back, orange to yellow underbody, very bright chartreuse color sides, green, and got the red eyes, and it's just a nice, well-crafted lure. It has a nice rounded bill on the front of it, so it definitely does deflect off of like rocks if you get it down there. It's not like necessarily like square bill, but it still will deflect away, and these tiny hooks don't have a lot of grab room anyway. But like I said, twitch this on the top water. If you're out with the kids and you want to show them a good time, throw these on their lines. Little twitches. The bluegill will definitely hammer these. And even if you're doing some bass fishing in early morning or late evening, when the bass come up to the shoreline, right on the bank, in the shallows, eating, bait fish and insects, they'll tear this up too. I fish at this place called Core Creek sometimes, and there's a lot of grasshoppers around there, and then when I go in early morning, the bass will tear these up. And even though it's a small lure, you're only talking about 1, 2, maybe 3 feet deep, usually 1 or 2 feet deep, to be honest, of deep of water, and the bass come up and feed, so you get some nice medium-sized bass early morning hitting these, especially in a place that's infested with grasshoppers. But if you are bringing people out, you want introducing some people to fishing, I definitely suggest giving them this if they want to break in their first lure, especially if they want their first topwater lure. This you just throw it out, the bluegill will crush it, and you can give the kids or some nice family day some fun. Ultra light rod, 4 to 10 pound test, 10 pounds pushing it, but I like 10 pound test because there's nothing worse if you're using like a 2 pound test lure and then you get a big old monster on the end of your rod and you lose it because the test was too light. So I usually stay with at least 10, but it's ideally made for like a 4 to 8 pound test. Super fun. You get to watch the bluegill come up and crack it. Ultralight rod, you can feel it. And other than that, I would just say pick up one of these lures, test them out, get on the water, and even though you're probably catching some panfish and some small to medium sized bass, I guarantee you'll still have a fun time using this lure. Rebel brand. Grasshopper. Tiny hooks, tiny lure, guaranteed fun.